All right, guys, welcome back to another case study interview. Welcome, Zen.
Hey bro, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm super excited to have you on here, the second Heaton brother.
Mm.
We've already got an interview on the, with Jack, so if you guys haven't seen that one, go watch that one. But this is Zen, Jax's brother. They came in, the pair of them, to the training program together, and now they're both at 10K plus a month. So I'm super excited to have you here, bro.
Well, thank you for having me, man. It's been a long time coming. We've been back and forth over probably the past 5 months, and I'm like, bro, so close.
Yeah.
Since January, it's been like it was like a 7K, 8K, 9K, and then it was only till I started closing at the start of May, where we finally hit it, bro. So we hit 11.4. So it was yeah, it was a good accomplishment. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming
Yeah.
sometime. But just when you feel it and you calculate everything, you're like a bit of AR drops through and you see it, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and we finally hit the magical 10, and
Mm.
we were so close for such a long time. January 7, 9K for a little bit, which was great. And then we finally hit the 10, 11.4 last month, which is amazing. So let's go all the way back as where we started all these interviews before you met me.
Mhm.
What were you doing as a career, man? I can't remember. It's kind of foggy. Something to do with laboring, perhaps. Might be mixing up with
Mm.
Jackson, not too sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, take us way back before you got started in sales and making money online.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a pathway. I'd say probably over the past year, like just in insane amount of change everywhere. Every pillar of life, there's so much change. But to really take it back, like I originally started like when I finished school, I went straight to uni, and my focus was around going down the pathway of music. And the pathway of music is great. The only thing is most people that would know that create music, the amount of money that you can generate at a small level starting out is so low. Like it's almost not impossible, but it's really hard to make, 5, 10K a month at scale when you are starting out. It's like a 10-year journey. So I noticed that pretty quick, but I was just committed as like sit in my room, video upon video. I'm like, doesn't matter. Fuck the noise. No, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go. And then it really came to the point, I'd probably say like towards last year, that I was like, I feel like what I'm doing, it's not working. It's not performing. It's not producing revenue. That I can actually live off. So towards like the start of the year, like the natural side hustles, you invest in drop shipping. You've invested 10K with someone, got scammed, but it was like it's just part of the game. One of those things that when you invest into yourself, sometimes you don't see the return. But then
Mm.
you also look at the other side of it, it's like maybe I didn't do the work, maybe I didn't do the necessary actions to be successful in that space. So that everything then and there. And then yeah, Jax he said to me, he said, "Bro, why don't we let's make money online?" So we've been talking about it, seeing all the stuff real world. We see a lot of Tate's content, over 2023, early
Mm.
2024. Push like make money online, make money online, and starting to see like 10K a month, and you're just becoming hypnotized by how can we make money online? And then it was like looking into the different skills. So obviously you've got ecom, you've got FBA, and then sales popped up. Jack said, "Why don't we learn sales?" And I said, "All right, cool." And he's like, "I found this guy." I'm like, "Who is he?" And he showed me a video of like one of your closing calls on YouTube. He's like, "Just watch him."
Mm.
So I had to watch, and I was like, "Yeah, cool." And he's like, "Well, how much is it?" And I think at the time it was like I think
Hmm.
each. And then it was like, what? And then that was yeah May. So from there we invested into you, and then as Jax was starting, I had the opportunity to go on TV. So I got into Australian Survivor. So I put my submission in. I did it in an ice bath, which was pretty different to every other contender. And then I was like, I had just innate desire and innate belief that I was going to get it. And then I got the call a couple of weeks later. Hey, just want to let you know you're going to be on TV. And then I was like, rather than going on an offer, landing on it, and then say, hey guys, I'm going on TV. I'm probably going to be gone for 2 months. Just doesn't look too
Yeah.
favorable. So I'm like, okay, if I just put sales to the side, got the material there to work through, and I'm just going to focus on Survivor. So I got in like, phenomenal shape, dialed in, just immense learning and reading on like power and human psychology. Went on the show. The outcome wasn't what we thought. I got pulled out early because I got an injury, but I had set the plan up as soon as I come back from Survivor, sales. So as soon as I came back, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Just hustling through RSA material, through the first module, and then you release the second version as well. Just hustled
Mm.
through the material, and then from there we went into the next stage. But I'll let you ask me another question.
No, no, I'm sure we'll touch on all of that. I mean, you covered a lot of good things, which I think is useful for your background. So for full context, before you got into sales, you were only doing music and that was it?
Yeah, so I was doing like a little bit of landscaping as well. So
Yeah.
like just the heavy labor, doing like, the 10, 12 hours a day, slogging it out for dad's business. But
Yeah.
you get to the point where you're like, hang on, so how much can I make? I was making like $30 an hour. And then I like somehow I got moved up to about $40 an hour. So $400 a day, which is good. But like you're selling your soul for this. You're 10 hours
Yeah.
a day, you're pushing the wheelbarrow, you're in the sun, you get burnt. And then, I'm going to film videos with a red face, doesn't look as good. So there's that. And then I'm missing gym sessions because I'm tired. I just got to the point I'm like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a
Mm,
better way. And that's where when we're like, okay, what can we do? Rather than you sitting there and be a victim and going, blame this, just go and, find a job in corporate and then hate my life for, 10, 15 years. Okay, what can I do to actually make a change?
mm, yeah. And 10 to 12 hour days laboring is not fun. You're still making $400 a day, which is great, but
Yeah.
your physical body deteriorates. I mean, you always look at the old guys who are on the work site as well. Like they're not pulling up too shabby when they're in their late 30s, 40s, 50s. Like they've got no back left at that point.
Yeah, they're looking old. And it was like the same, even dad digging holes at 50. And I'm like, I'm not doing
Mm.
this at 50. I'm driving my Lambo at 50.
And the crazy contrast for you as well is that you'd make $400 in a day, but with what you're selling at the moment, like what type of commission can you be looking at and like the ticket size value?
So like minimum, I kind of calculate it. My hourly rate now, like minimum sits at about 425. So if I close like
Mm,
a basic's 425. A nurture is like 1.2. And then a mastermind, which I'm pushing for the masterminds at the moment, is 3.1. But even if I do
yeah.
50% down on a mastermind being 12.4, I still get 1550 in comms. So I'm even now pushing the mastermind. They get more support. They win as a
Mm,
client. Plus I get more commissions as so we all eat. So yeah, it's
yeah.
insane different level of money.
Yeah. And it's a different level too because you're now living in Bali and you're going to go live
Mm.
in it was Thailand, right, with Jax now, right?
Yeah, so we're going over to Bangkok just for a little trip, just to check it
Hmm.
out. And then I probably end of July, look to move over to Koh Samui for a bit, just bounce around through Southeast Asia for the rest of the year. But that's what the power of online money has unlocked. To the
Yeah.
point where, once you actually set things up, you can move away from Australia's tax system. As you would know yourself, Australia's tax system, it's pretty crazy. They're eating you 50%. Once you make over, 120K a year, 180K, you're getting smoked at 50%. So, we
Yeah.
invested into the international accountant, and went down that avenue. So that's like set up with like American company while living in
Mm,
Bali, while receiving from an Australian company that's paying USD to the US company, but I'm not making any money in Bali and I'm living here. So it's like
mm,
awesome little tax loophole that we've got now, which
mm.
makes it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we'll touch on like what your plans are for in like Thailand and Bali and things like that because that's super cool to do at a young age.
Yeah.
Because how old's Jackson yourself at the moment?
So Jax, he's 19 and I
Yeah,
turn 22 in about 28 days. So on the 30th of
which
this
is
month.
which is
So
sick. 19,
doing a few
22,
years.
traveling the world, making money online, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a phenomenal experience so far.
Um, we might touch on that a little bit later on. Again, more of like what your plans are with that in the future. But to take things back to when you first got started in the space, because it wasn't all hunky dory, it wasn't easy. As we were just
Yeah.
talking about before we hit record. So I love to always just point out what your journey's actually been like getting into the space, how confusing it
Mm.
might have been when you first started out. Maybe you took a bad offer or two. I remember Jax did as well, like took a bad offer
Yeah.
or two, had a few false starts. Um, when you joined the training program, what was it like when you started out? You had a bit of a blip where you went on that TV show for a couple months. But
Mm.
like, what was your journey like starting out? Like, what type of offers did you work with? Like, what were the false starts? Like, why
Yeah.
was it super easy when you first started out? Was it confusing?
Well, look, everyone's going to have a different experience, and I'm assuming, all the case studies you've done, some people would have said they found it pretty easy. Some people found it, really hard going back and forth. I was in a pretty good position because I had already built a personal brand myself. I already had, like
Mm,
at the time, there was like 6,000 followers. So I already had a few people follow me and I networked with quite a few guys on the Gold Coast. So I was already pretty known through that space of entrepreneurs. So I was already in a
mm,
better position when I was doing outreach, following that framework. So for myself, it actually wasn't too hard. It was just following the step-by-step protocol that you went through, and then really
hmm
dialing in on the networking strategy. And the way that I did it is I was in like another group, was like a bunch of the guys and they joined on like a Zoom call, like Monday night. And I was just kind of just going through a few things. There's one of the guys and he mentioned something about setting. And, when I'm looking for roles, I'm, doing the LinkedIn method, following the other sales reps. But the original list that I did, I went through it, I put all this time into it. And then I realized that they're all US companies and I'm in Australia.
mm.
I was just like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to work acquisition.com. And there was like another Jeremy Miner one. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And then I'm like, these are all US companies. So I had to scrap it all. And then I think probably spent like a whole week just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people outreaching to them. And it was like a nice message. It was like, hey, this name, saw you doing something in the space, really like what you're doing. My name's Zen, blah, 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 blah. Keep it short, keep it simple. Had a few replies, but not much from that. And then was on one of these calls with the guys, and he said something about setting. And I'm looking, so my ears perk up, and I'm like, setting, setting, setting. So I'm in the Zoom chat, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, you set?" Question mark. And then from there, we jumped on a call. And when you're jumping on a call with someone, is you want to make sure that you're prepared, over prepared, to the point
Mm,
where when you're on with them, you're asking them extremely intelligent and questions about their life and their situation. So they're like, how'd you know that? So,
mm.
I linked up with him. We set a call up and I just spent probably like 3 hours, like before our call and just went through his whole Instagram and just went through everything about him. And he had a few things happen. He had like a disease that he moved past and he was like cured from. And I just asked him more questions about that. And then he said something about setting, and then he said, "Oh, I think we're gonna have a good opportunity." And then bang, got sent a contract from that company, and then got onboarded within that week and started.
Which is such a random way of events, but everything kind of
Mm.
ends up working its way correctly or working its way to where you want it to be. Because I mean, it's so funny how you met that guy sporadically, but you
Mm.
obviously paid attention to a lot of the networking training modules in the RSA, and you learned a lot from that in terms of like being very curious, very engaged, very just a normal person. Whereas I feel like
Just
networking
listening.
for, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
guys with networking take a wrong approach of just being very weird and very strange. I think I've seen that
Yeah.
a lot.
What when you say weird, like could you give me an example of what they actually like being doing that was weird?
Yeah, like I would say personally, there's when I've hung out with successful people or being somewhat successful myself, they'll put successful people on a pedestal and
Mm.
they'll act really weird, very strange, very rigid. Whereas successful people are just the same as you and me, right? There's really no difference. They want to be treated like normal people too. So when you put successful people on a pedestal, even if it's even if you're just looking to get started in the space, you're a beginner and you're talking to someone that's making 10K a month, that might be a massive thing to you, which it could be if you're starting from zero. You
Mm.
don't put that person on a pedestal and you treat them like a normal person, as opposed to a
Yeah.
lot of people start to change the way they act, their personality, the way they communicate, and people can sense that from a mile away,
Yeah, they feel it because they can feel because it's like a fake kind of energy. But if you
for
like
sure.
at the end of the day, when you have like the belief and the confidence in yourself, because like before I started sales, I've done things previously that I built that, innate confidence in myself that I'm like, I'm going to be successful in this space. It just might take some time. And like that's why I
hmm
put the beginner hat on. I know I'm not going to be good starting out, and like I'm going to suck shit for a bit, and I'm okay with that. And I don't mind being a little bit vulnerable, knowing that the
Mm.
pathway that I've chosen and there's a future here. And
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
agree. And so with taking back to, okay, I know that I'm going to be successful eventually with this thing. Let's talk about setting it and how much of a grind that was and like what you learned during being in the trenches because you've only gone from setting to now hybrid closing. So for beginners, that's appointment setting and closing in combination. Just in the last month, that's how you've had the biggest month you've had. So what was that like? You've been doing setting for about like 5 months previous until you made that proper transition. So like, what
Yeah,
was
so
that
started.
like? What was the grind?
Well, look, anyone that says that they like outbound, you got to be full of it. Like for me, sitting on outbound, like it was okay at one stage because like when I had started, the company was like a little bit smaller. So like it was only like four guys really like hustling out there. So it was enjoyable at one stage because like we were all going back and forth of like who's getting the most sets. And it was like this volume game. Who's getting the most sets? Who's getting the most deals closed? And the two guys at one stage, they were pumping like 4 or 5 sets through a day. And me, I'm only pumping two at this stage, but they're deals. I'm just seeing sales accounts, and it's like it was driving this inside, like oh, I got to get better, I got to get better. So I got
Mm,
paired up with one of the closers, and then we're just going back and forth. So he put a lot of like time into actually like training me as well. So that's one thing, as an SDR, you want to focus on finding a solid AE or like a solid closer to work really well with, because the thing is
mm,
at the end of the day, you're going to make them more money by the better your skill level. So they're going to
mm,
invest in you. If you say like, "Hey, I want you to invest in me, teach me everything you know," and at the end, your skill increases and their money making increases because they're sitting now more qualified prospects. So that was pretty much
mm,
what was set up from one of the guys there who got me on, was pretty much say, "Hey, you train him, and then he'll put higher quality prospects in your calendar to close." And that's exactly what we did. So we did pretty well for a while. And then towards December, I had one of the guys that I jumped on his calendar, started working pretty close with him. And by then, the team had expanded. I've got access to the triage rotator, so it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as much of a slog on outbound. But it was definitely a few days when I was just like, I could be doing something so much better with my time right now. This does not feel worth my time because at one stage we were
yeah,
pumping 300 dials, and I was
mm,
talking to 10 people, and I'm like, I can make more money doing something else. So that's when you start getting
yeah,
the shiny object. You're like, I know I can make more money rather than sitting on the dialer. So then it's like I might
yeah,
farm some dials. I'm not doing that many dials. I'm gonna hit this
yeah,
KPI. But then you just get to the point where like the sets that you're putting through, you're just pushing through shit because you're not
mm,
actually pushing through quality. You're trying to hit this KPI. So it got to the
mm,
point where like I'm not worried about the KPI. I'm worried about quality because quality is what's going to make the company money. And as the company makes money, a byproduct, I get paid. So the
mm,
mindset was rather than just pumping volume, I was like, why don't I just pump quality through and actually have like a more in-depth conversation?
yeah. And you went from almost quitting sales, like being in that position where you're kind of grinding out, Groundhog Day, really kind of pushing through the work, to now your first month, like 11.4K in commissions. And now we're looking to 20K plus, right? That's where we're looking to scale to, which is entirely possible. Like you
Mm.
haven't really spoken to that many people this month. I think you said you had 11 sales calls.
Yeah, I spoke to it was 11 people and I closed three of them. Um,
Yeah.
so
So
it
like,
was it was pretty good. I was pretty happy with the skill level to be able to close three of the 11. It was just like there was a few obviously that I just didn't close purely from the skill level that I missed
mm,
out. Like there was just a bit of fear that escaped. But now I'm watching back and then I'm like, how did I miss that? How, money aside, time aside. And then you circulate, it's just a fear. But I missed a few of them. So few deals flopped just because of the skill just wasn't refined. And that was just from the objection process.
yeah, 100%. And
Mhm.
so what would you say if you're telling a beginner that's looking to get in this industry, what should their expectations be of the work required to actually be successful doing this?
Yeah. So look, a lot of people I believe are starting sales for freedom. Like you say
Mm,
that it always drives my mind is like there's three pillars of freedom: location freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. So sales will be able to give you financial freedom and it will give you some form of location freedom or location flexibility.
correct.
Time freedom, it will give you time flexibility once you're closing. When you're setting as well, you'll get a little bit of a calendar flexibility, but like at one stage, I would just say just push as hard as you can because the harder you push, the faster your skill increases, and then the faster you start closing. And once you start closing, like then you get to the point where once you work out the KPI, you might only need to take 4 calls a day. Take four
Mm,
to 6 calls a day and you can space it out. You take three in the morning, three in the evening. And then throughout the day, you could do whatever you want. You could work on something else. You could be at the gym, pool, whatever you want to do. So I would say, when you are starting in this space, make sure you're just overly dedicated to just get past setting. Because that's where a lot of people, they just stay setting or then they quit because it's like, No one wants to sit on outbound. So make sure you just push past the setting because I promise you, speaking from experience, I was about to quit in March. I was like, I'm done with sales. I'm quitting. Fuck this. I sent you a voice message and I'm like, bro, what do I do?
Mm,
I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit. I don't know what to do. And I hit a Lando up as well. I'm like, bro, what should you do? What my situation? And I'm glad I didn't. I just kind of just I was like, I'll just push through, just push through.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
pushed through, and I promise you, the closing is so much more fulfilling.
Mm, yeah. I think if you're looking to get into this space, watching this as a beginner, which most people who watch my channel are, they're looking to get into high ticket sales, they've just started, and
Mm,
just be very, very willing to eat shit for a little bit of time, right? It might be 3 months, it might be 4 months, it might be 5 months. And then your 6 month, you turn into a closer and then you transition fully and you're making all this money and you've got all the things you ever wanted. But you really do have to earn your stripes. And the way that I recommend most people watching this to view this as is this is the same as doing an apprenticeship at really any trade qualification. You know, in Australia, if you're becoming a builder, you've got 4 years of eating shit and be working on very low wage and not get treated fantastically well because you're unqualified. Only once you get your qualifications do you then kind of get your respect, then you earn the money, then you have like you get better jobs, so on and so forth. So it's the same thing with sales, the same thing with anything. I think there's a lot of entitlement, which is not a lot of people's fault because they come in this industry because they sold the dream. They see the
mm,
marketer that's gone, standing in. I've literally saw an ad the other day of a guy sitting in front of a Ferrari in Dubai saying that you can get in this industry and use your two thumbs to make 3 to 5K a month DM setting. Like, it's just not the reality. And we talk
yeah.
about this in every interview. If the expectations are correct, you're going to do very well. But you want to think about it as if you're going to earn more than a doctor or a legitimate surgeon and have more flexibility than they do and be able to move around the world to some degree according to your time
Mhm.
zone, you should be able to and be willing to sacrifice and put in 3, 4, 5 months of work to get there. If it's low
Mm.
pay, if it's bad work, it's gonna suck. But so does it happen with every other industry, only that the time to become successful and make a lot of money and get all the rewards is so much shorter to compared of getting a university degree or doing like a
Exactly.
typical trade.
The cost of what it actually takes worth the benefit it is so worth it because you think like when you actually break it down like three let's just use 3 to 6 months 3 to 6 months of sucking shit not really knowing what to do not being very good because the thing is you're also going to be vulnerable as well you're going to feel like fuck that was why did I say that you start saying some really weird things you're like why did I ask that question and you start getting in your head if you just push all of that aside and you just go okay for 3 to 6 months I know it's going to take that long the earning potential is so high. Like I've got guys in the company and they're doing 40K a month AUD. So when you see
Yeah.
that and you're like, and what do I need to do that? I just got to continue doing the thing. Like that it's all yeah, it's just a time. And exactly what you say, time takes time. It is such an imperative thing to learn. It will just take time. If you just give it time and you just stay consistent, like anything, you'll be successful.
Mm, yeah. And that's what I say about other business models as well, representative of the fact that every business model works and it has its benefits and it has its drawbacks. You've tried your hand at e-com and I think you're still doing a bit of that on the side as well. You've got a few things in the
Yeah.
works.
Mhm.
Um, all these things are fantastic. All the business models have their pros and cons, but you just have to stick with one for a longer term duration of time, which a lot of younger guys, which is, primarily people that I teach and coach, from 18 to 25 to 30, um, it's always what's the next thing, what's going to be better. You've fallen privy to it. I've also fallen privy to it. Like there's always a shiny object here and there, but where the true magic happens and you hit that 10K a month is just picking one singular thing and just sticking with it for a long time. That's it.
Yeah, and that's where it was towards March. That's where things were going crazy. So at one stage, man, I was doing acting, I was doing music, and then you think with music, there's like content as well as like podcasts and all of that, as well as there was like doing sales. doing ecom, plus you got to incorporate training, health, nutrition, as well as women. And then I had like another side hustle as well. And it got to the point where at the end of the day, I might sit on my bed and I'm like, I haven't done anything today. But I had worked all day and I'd done multiple things, but I was only putting like a percent into each rather than just going, okay, if I just focus on one thing right now, just get really, really good at it, and then I can utilize that skill in the future to then sell my own offer, or then, partner with another company and sell their offer at a higher ticket. But I've just got to focus on one thing so I can get the skill faster. Because don't get me wrong, sales
Mm,
generates, a large amount of income, which is the byproduct, but you also get the skill. So now
hmm
when you go on dates, the dating's different. Speaking to women's different. Speaking to other males is now different because you're asking them more complex questions. They're like, never been asked a question like that. And that's all the byproduct of sales. And then the money is the bonus.
hmm Yeah. I think that's a really, really key thing that I made a video about recently. And if you're watching this and you're maybe not as social as you feel like you need to be, you're not very good at communicating, you're not good in just general social situations, sales is the best skill to start out with because if you're younger, it's really going to teach you and lay the foundations of how to communicate well and how to articulate, which very few people actually have that. I look back at old videos of myself and I look at how I just wasn't as good at communicating as I am now after spending a lot of time filming videos and thousands upon thousands of conversations and sales calls with strangers. It definitely helps you out a lot. So if you're watching this and you struggle with that, it's one of the best careers that you can get into. I was super introverted before I started sales. So yeah, it kind of brings out a lot of really, really core skills that are good to develop at a young age.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, man.
So what do you think would be the standards in the space? Because you're obviously working in a very high performing team. They've always had high standards. They're one of the biggest companies in Australia, in the info space. They do very, very well. Um, You've probably seen, and you may not have seen, but you've probably seen, I would assume, other sales reps in different programs you're in, RSA, other communities that you've been a part of as well. You've probably had that contrast. What do you feel like the standard is or the bar is in terms of being successful in this industry? Is it low? Is it high? Like, what are your thoughts?
Great question. To answer it, I guess briefly, the bar is still really low. Like the bar is still set high for certain companies in their standards, but in terms of like to just be better than everyone else, it's like everyone sits here, you just need to be there because these guys aren't getting looked at. They're the ones that are, spelling mistakes in their outreach message. They're
Mm,
they're the ones sending, 10-minute looms. Or and that, when they actually do a loom, for example, and they're like, hey, my name, blah, 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 going through like a section, but you're looking at what they're wearing. They're wearing baggy clothing. They look
hmm
unkept. They're either not shaved or the beard isn't trimmed. The haircut looks
hmm
out. Like, why on earth would I want to give this person an opportunity? And now in the company that I'm in a position where, if I find someone that I think is actually good, I will then give them an opportunity and bring them into a team. Like I brought Levi in as well, and Levi's just crushed it as well. He's did his 10K
Yeah.
month. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly that because I think he reached out to me or something, and I looked at his Instagram profile. That's the first thing that I'll look at, and that's like considering like for me personally, when I'm looking at someone, the first thing I look at is their Instagram profile. And if their
Mm,
Instagram, there was another guy who reached out, and all three of the photos that he had was him drinking, and I said, I'm not giving you an opportunity. But he said like,
yeah.
I don't want you in the company. I know how the founder is. And if it was my company, I wouldn't want you in either. I want to see someone that
hmm
looks professional. I want to see some headshots. I want to see some lifestyle stuff. I want things simple. I want to see that you look good. Because the thing is
mm,
once you get past setting and you're behind the actual CRM and you're behind like the mic and the dialer, then you're actually going to be on calls. And if you don't look presentable, people aren't going to buy from you. If you look sloppy, you show
hmm
up to calls, the lighting looks shit, you look shit, people aren't going to buy from you. And that's the biggest thing that I've noticed and I've seen as well.
Yeah, no, massively agree there. To touch on, add to that, just the word professionalism is really, really key to understand. Like, if you're a younger guy looking at getting into this space, the bar is so low, not in just in terms of the work ethic, but just the standard for just professionalism as a whole. Most people don't dress well. Most people don't hold themselves to a high standard. Most people don't show up professionally, like you said before. They just don't put in the effort. Like I've been shocked at, some recruiter friends that I've spoken to about the effort that people put into applications, so on and so forth. Like the bar is really, really, really low, just considering that the bar to entry is low. So
Mm.
the general standard is going to be low as well. Anyone with a laptop and who wants a job and who can speak
And they
English
got
can
Wi-Fi.
can try and get the job, right? So as the space becomes more popular, which it certainly has in the last 1, 2, 3 years, people like to give the argument of like, is high ticket sales saturated? I think it's so far from that. There are so many people that are joining the industry, and it's got more traffic and more people involved and more people wanting jobs. But less than ever are there the people who are willing to put in the work, who are skilled enough and professional enough to actually get these like top tier jobs. Like
Yeah.
you're speaking to people selling like packages worth, up to 30 grand. Like who's going to buy from someone who doesn't look professional, isn't articulate? Um,
Mm.
yeah, just all those things.
Yeah, no, I see that as well. And moving forward, you see a lot of people like exactly that the entry is so low, and being that I guess when you say it's saturated, like almost any business model can be saturated. For example, you see e-commerce could be saturated, selling in the pet market, but the way that you differentiate yourself in that marketplace is by creating a brand. And at
Mm,
the end of the day, you're your own company or your own business coming into a company. So you want to make sure that your brand, being, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, is all set up that when someone actually goes, I'm going to give this guy an opportunity, that you actually prove them right. And you're like, okay, yeah, this was a solid hire. But like since I've been in
mm,
the company, we've probably churned through since September, I would say over 20 people. I've seen
mm.
come, go, and it's always the same thing. They don't perform, they get cut, and it just keep cutting the averages, keep cutting the averages. So you bring up to the
Yeah,
team, and the team all performing. All the SDRs that I see, they're doing $200 and 4 sets a day, like
yeah,
insane amount of volume.
yeah. So do you think it was mainly skill level, the reason people were getting cut, or is it work ethic?
It's also not a good fit for the company as well, and it's like the culture
Mm,
fit. If these guys
yeah.
had a couple guys showing up on hoodies on call, and it's like.
Yeah,
Like all good on maybe like a lower ticket offer. But because you're dealing with like some big dogs in the space that are actually already established in the space of e-commerce. I think they jump on this guy's in a hoodie. He's got wired, tangled headphones. Like bang, hang up. You just pretty much wasted a lead. That's just a waste of money. So yeah,
yeah.
it's quite interesting to see.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Mm.
Um, so I'm curious. I think I asked Jax this question as well. What does your family feel about all this, like you traveling and moving around at such a young age and being successful, or just making money online in general? Like, what are their general feelings towards it? Have they always been supportive or not really understood?
Um, like they've been probably supportive to the factor, supportive in the point where, like now when I say to my mum, because she's seen me, I've said that I'm going to do something and I have done it, man of the word. So I said to her, I'm going to be on Survivor, went on Survivor. Hey, mum, I'm going to make money online, made money online. I said, I'm going to move country, and everything's been successful since I've said that. So in
Mm,
her, she's built like the belief in Jax and I, anything that we say we do, we do. And
mm,
until now, nothing has changed.
yeah.
So she's already on board. Like we're building like an e-commerce business at the moment in the space of
Mm,
male skincare. So we're building that with her as well. So we're leveraging our sales and marketing skills, and then she's got more time, so she just puts into the research phase where we just use our
mm.
skill set and then capital to just leverage that. So we're working
Nice.
closely with her. Now she's got the same mindset. She's like, I'm moving to Bali next year. So she wants to
That's
get this
beautiful.
business off the ground with the help of her son. So it's good to be able to actually help build her up as well. So yeah, she's been pretty supportive. I talk to her every day, and she's happy. She's like,
That's beautiful.
you made it out. Pretty much made it out of the rat race and the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But in terms of dad, he's always been the same kind of thing, slogging it out, hard work. But I think it's only now when he's like really sore because Jack's moved to Thailand last month. And I'd been the
Mm,
month before in Bali. I think it's probably now he's like, holy shit, like what they've done's actually worked. They're not calling us and saying, "Hey, can I have some money? Hey, I need." They're fending for themselves. I know that they're making money online. So I think in the back of his mind, he's probably like, "How can I do this?" And as I asked him, I said,
Mm.
"Hey, we want to help you make money online, Dad. You don't want to be making money in just a single country. It's not scalable. Your time is not scalable." So yeah, Jackson, I'm trying to work out a few things and how much money do we need to bring in to be able to, pay him 10K a month so he doesn't have to work anymore and he can just travel. So yeah,
That's amazing.
so it's been good to be able to actually give back to the family as well. So I'm going back to Gold Coast this weekend. So I said I'm going to take them out for a nice lunch and to be in the actual position to do that.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing feeling to be able to actually give back to the people that have spent, 18 plus years developing
Yeah.
you as a man.
No, it's beautiful, man. And we're so lucky, and I'm so grateful to be in such a position of when we were born at the right
Mm.
time. Um, our parents didn't have the same position or the same opportunities that we have of making money online. And I
Yeah.
think that if you're a young guy watching this and your parents aren't retired, they're not fully taken care of, the family that brought you up, people that brought you up aren't fully taken care of, it's inherently selfish for you to not be taking advantage of something like this.
Yeah.
Like it is insane the opportunity and the capability that you can have of making money online, whether it's high ticket sales or whatever else. Um, it's ridiculous. Like being able to
Mm.
make this type of money at a young age, your age isn't a factor anymore, your qualifications aren't a factor anymore. Like it's kind of ridiculous. If you're watching this and sitting on the edge for such a long time, like this is, for God's sake, this is like the 38th interview we have on the channel. We're going to have 42 by the end of this week filmed. Like,
Yeah.
if this is not enough evidence, I don't know what is. It's kind of insane when people come to me going, what are your guarantees? What if I fail? Does this actually work? It's like you can fake interviews, sure. Like, funny enough, I've actually seen that with an offer I reviewed for a client. People actually faked interviews. It was kind of insane. But you can tell Zen's real. I'm real.
Mm.
Everyone else we've interviewed on the channel is real. If you've seen this much social proof, there's very few people that I know in the make money online space that have the results that we have. And when you see that, that's when you take an opportunity because back when I got
Mm.
started out, the guy that I worked with had no results. And I don't think he
Yeah.
really has any results. Yeah, anyways, that's a whole other thing. But
I can kind of
most,
speak on that as well.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Like so you're sitting at 38 interviews now. Like
Hmm.
you can fake maybe five, you can fake 10, but you can't fake 38 individuals on a Zoom call, speaking for an hour, going through their actually experience. Like it's really hard to fake that level of interview as well. So like anyone that's sitting on the fence Wes Watson actually said it, and it's sat with me like since I heard it, is like when you invest into yourself, do you expect to make less money? So anytime that you make an investment, like last month I spent like 12K something, and I was at the end of the month, I'm like, fuck, I've spent a lot of money. But then I was like, do I expect this month that I'm going to make less money? No. So as soon as you feel like the scarcity mindset starting to creep in, just remember, like when you actually have the confidence to do what you say, and you know that your skill set is there, you're going to be successful regardless in any industry. So sitting on the fence is not going to help you. It's not going to help your family. It's not going to help your future. You're just going to 6 months go by and you're like, I probably could have invested in that sales program. Why didn't I? And you sit there and think
Mm.
about it. Then a year goes past, and then all of a sudden you see the person who maybe took that leap actually started and they're successful in the space. Like, oh, how did you do it? Well, I just took that risk. Because there's like
Yeah,
at the end of the day, there's two types of people. You've got the dreamers and you've got the action takers. The dreamers always look at the action takers, and sometimes they're like, why does this guy have everything? Why is it? Because the action takers, they don't have it all worked out. They just take that step. And then the next step, highlights. Take the next step. So just take action and just take what you want.
100%. And you do not want to be that guy. If you're right now watching this, you're 18, 25, maybe late 20s. You do not want to be that guy that saw these types of opportunities pop up such a long time ago. And you get older, you have kids, you have a family, you have a mortgage, you have more responsibilities, you have debts. Like when you get into these types of situations, it's near impossible to make this work. So it's like
Mm,
it's now or never, really, if you're younger. every year that goes by, you've lost another year to make this work, and you get less chances every year that goes by. Like I'm getting older, like I'm 25 by November this year, right? Another 5 years, it's 30. Another 5 years, it's
Mm.
35. That's only 10 years from now. It's not a very long time. And you're 22 now. The years in your early 20s just go by like in a blink. Like they go
Yeah.
so, so, so quickly.
You don't realize you're like, and then it only felt like a couple months ago I was 21, and like I'm
Yeah.
still 21, but I turned 22 in about 28 days. But like it feels like 6 months ago I was had my birthday going from 20 to 21. And then
Yeah.
you're like, time goes so fast. And I could imagine, like, for me, I've been doing things like my days have been very occupied to the point where I even sit, I'm like, fuck, I feel like I'm not doing enough. But I look at the calendar, I'm like, fuck, I've been working for 10 hours, like, I've been doing enough. But
Mm,
then you get to the point, it's like, imagine if you weren't doing anything. Imagine how unfulfilled you would feel going, I have just worked and built someone else's dream at such a small amount of a wage for 5 years and think how much time's gone past and not much has really changed. Sound like we're going
mm.
into cost of inaction now.
We are two sales
Um,
guys.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Um, it's the question that we always ask on sales calls, which I think someone who's watching this, who's consuming the space, should ask themselves of what would be the consequences if you did nothing and you just kept doing the same stuff again and again and again and again. If nothing changes, nothing changes, right? So it's something you have to sit with if you're not going to move.
Mm.
What what would you say you would tell a beginner if there's anything that you've learned over the last 7, 8 months in the space? What would you tell a beginner, someone who's looking to get in the space, or maybe who's kind of just started?
Okay. First thing I'd probably say is, make sure that it's such a basic thing, but make sure that your setup is presentable. Because like for example, when you land on an offer, you're probably going to do a few team calls. And if your setup looks weird, it looks shit, first of all, the company is going to be like, when you do your interview, I don't want this guy. He doesn't look good. Setup doesn't look good. That's a key factor. So it's such a simple thing is make sure your Zoom setup looks good. And when you are on Zoom, the way the camera's positioned, if the mic's in frame, even my backdrop, it doesn't look as good, but it's still presentable to a point. But
Mm,
you want to make sure that's in order. Zoom setup is the first thing. Making sure that all of your social media profiles are set up as well. So anything that's got drinking, you going out partying, it just doesn't look favorable. When you're networking with guys in the space and it looks like you're going to festivals and all that. People don't want to network with that type of person. They're not going to give opportunities to that type of person. So make sure everything's stripped off. I would then look to invest into like photographer and getting a few headshots done. Get a nice polo like this. Make sure clean shaven, or you got the beard. Make sure it's lined up. Haircut looks good. And as much as these things kind of like saying simple and monotonous and might not be applicable, they are extremely valuable entering the space. And then from
mm,
there, once those things are set up, that's the core foundation. That's the easy part. Now the part is, actually making sure that you invest into the mentor, whether you invest into Connor, and actually go through that process and take the time to learn everything. Make sure you learn the skill, but don't put too much focus on the skill before you land an offer. I was like, I went through some of the stuff, and then I was just like, networking. That's the only thing that matters to me right now. I can go through
yeah,
everything else. I can learn objection handling, but it's not applicable if I'm not using it. Why not
yeah.
just learn how to network, learn the network, the interview category, and then from there actually dial in and land something? Because then you can learn and you can apply on your setting calls rather than learning, Notion document, okay, forget. Rather than you just learn, apply. So that was my
Mm.
mentality. Then just go hard, hard on the outreach, hard on the networking. You'll be able to jump on the calls. Like, how many people have you got in the space now? Kind of, is like 300 in the RSA?
Close to, I think like 280 plus, somewhere around that range.
Yeah. Well, last time I checked, I think Jackson and I joined at 150 or something.
Mm,
Last time
yeah.
I checked in school was like 220. So, at
Mm,
280 now. So, by all means, you can go into the calls that you have on that Thursday night as well. Start networking with a few guys and there, jump on calls because that's the best spot you're going to network. These guys have already invested into their sales experience
mm,
and their journey. They're going to be open to networking because they did the exact same thing. The guys in
yeah.
the RSA, they network with the guys in the RSA. So all the new guys, you can network with the existing guys in the RSA as well. And then from there, once you
Yeah.
do that, opportunities just start popping up, but it takes some time.
Mm. Besides being a professional, which we've highlighted a couple times now, what do you what do you think from personal experience being in the space for a while now and going from the trenches to now closing? What do you think personally it takes to be successful in this industry?
Hmm. Good question. Hmm. I'd say probably the biggest thing is you just got to be a little bit patient.
Mm,
Because like the thing is when you're not patient, that's when you look elsewhere. And when you look
yeah,
elsewhere, you on the next thing, next thing, next thing. And even you offer hopping. There's a few guys that I know that have done offer hopping successfully. And I know that sometimes in the space it is frowned upon. Like if you're hopping offers to keep finding another offer that's like this offer, yeah, some of them are all very similar. Unless you're going from like an Australian offer to a US offer, very different. But from the offers that are like, already big companies and you're going to the next one, to the next one, you're forever just hopping around. So like for me, I've only been on one offer and I've just stayed with that offer. I've built with that offer. And now I'm in a position where I've got, ultimate leverage that I manage two guys' calendars, as well as I get, a bunch of triages book on my calendar as well. So I set a few of the triages for the other closers and then I take a few of the triages myself and I'm converting them. So, the founder's happy to continue giving me opportunity because they're converting. And at the end of the day, the main thing that the founder, the owner cares about is revenue. And if you're not producing revenue, doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. Like you can be even on the team calls, some of the team calls you don't want to go to, you can get away with that if you produce revenue. Like if you're a
mhm.
top performer, you get away with a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those careers where you're rewarded in direct proportion to the value you add to the table. And being a meritocracy, it massively rewards the guys who are willing to and wanting to be the best and wanting to be competitive. If you've got a background being an athlete, if you're super into the gym, if you work really hard in a previous career, you do extremely well in sales. Just taking that same energy into a vehicle that rewards you in the proportion to the effort that you're putting and bringing to the table.
Mm,
You've got people who might even be watching this either in a traditional sales role in corporate or just because I've had a few of those guys recently take interest in the training program or anyone in any corporate job where you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, commuting, that energy, if you put it into the right vehicle, double,
yeah.
triple, quadruple your income for the same amount of effort that you're already putting into your previous career, which,
Plus the extra pillars of the freedom aspect. Because like the thing
yeah,
working corporate, like don't get me wrong, you might be able to make 300K a year, which is phenomenal. Over
mm,
30K a month ish. But the thing is where do you have to go? You have to go into the office. You commute,
yeah,
exactly the hour, hour there, hour back. I would prefer to make 15K a month from home, wear my polo and sit in my undies and take calls. I would much prefer that, knowing that, at like you only really got to jump on the call at, like 57 past. As long as you're at
yeah,
57 past, you don't need to be there, 20, 30 minutes earlier. You just need to be
yeah.
there a few minutes before. Like I'd much prefer that. It's so much more level of freedom.
Yeah, I was actually just visiting London recently in the UK
Nice.
and going on the train to get there because I was staying somewhere outside of London. you know, it's crazy to think that those people on the train, they're going an hour there in the morning and an hour back. They're probably, in total of their work day, they might be doing 10 hours, 11, 12 hours in a work day just for maybe even just a normal construction job or working in corporate. Like it's
Mm.
absolutely insane to me. There's so much, there's it's such a better way to be working online if it's possible and if it's actually doable for you.
Mm.
Um, so
Before we go
shifting
on
to,
that topic,
yeah,
Mark,
go ahead.
I was going to say, what's your biggest thing that you've noticed why people aren't successful in the space? From all the case studies that you've done, all the guys that you've met, what's the biggest main reason that these guys aren't successful?
What you said before was really key with patience. So that's a massive thing. But just showing up is a big thing because there's showing up and there's also participating is also a really, really key thing. I say it on every single coaching call that I can and every YouTube video, which is that every case study I have,
Mm,
without fail, they've been coming to coaching calls consistently for a long time. And
Mm.
there are certain different variables. For example, if you're getting too busy, you're working on your offer and you can't attend, that's fine because you're getting training consistently and you're also doing it there. But the main thing I see personally is that the people that come to coaching calls consistently, sharing updates every single week, I see what they're doing, I see what's going on. We can tweak their sales calls, give feedback. The bar is just so low for like attendance and like what's required to be successful. One thing that
Mm.
I like to remind people is people think that because the community has grown to the size that it has, that the one-on-one attention is still not there. I can assure you the one-on-one working with me is still there. And you might get 10 people on a group coaching call if you're lucky,
Yeah.
maybe 11 or 12. So the attention that you get is still unparamount in contrast in comparison to all these massive group training programs. They want to grow to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of members. Um, you still get that one-on-one attention. So the main difference I see is people that actually come to coaching calls consistently and are asking questions because there's showing up, but there's also
Mm.
participating. Like if you're just kind of that guy that sits to the side and does nothing and is kind of passive, well,
He
there's not
doesn't
much
learn.
you can really do. No, you don't learn
Yeah.
anything.
There's no reason to even be there. Like you might
Yeah.
as well just watch the recording. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
guys that ask questions. That like have a call ready. That's the thing is you would love that if someone might text you and say, "Hey Connor, I've got a call if we could go through today," and you're gonna go. If this guy's got a call ready, he's active in the space. He's showing up to calls. Every single week. It makes it really hard to not be successful.
Exactly. And when people join the community, the payment, the investment that's required to join is just the first step. Like, I'm going to give you everything I possibly have, but you need that participation as well. Like, you need to want to be able to actually work, actually be engaged, ask questions, be curious, actually show up and participate. If you can bring those two things to the table, it's undeniable you'll be successful. You just need enough time.
Yeah, time takes
So,
time.
time takes time, absolutely. So after being in the training for a while now, like what would you say to someone who isn't in there at the moment? Like, how would you describe the structure of the training program for beginners? Like, what was your experience going like through it? Just so the guys have a bit of a detail.
Yeah. Well, like when I first got in, I remember like getting access to the school, and I was like, Jax, there's so much in here. Like,
Yeah.
where do like? You almost when you see it, like, why is there so much? Like, is this all included? And you're a little bit, you're like, wait, I didn't know if I got this much, and I went through and I was like, because and then you open the tab, and then inside of the tab there's 5 different videos, and you're like,
Mm.
there's probably what 15 to 20 hours of content and more.
Mm. Yeah.
And when I went through, I was like, wow. So yeah, just when you first start out, you do get a little bit like you probably get a little bit of shiny object there. You're like, where do I start? Where do I start? What do I do? Like the
Yeah.
way that it's laid out, follow that. Follow it like that. From start here. That's why you've got start here as well. And the big way
Mm.
to track your progress is click the green tick. And as much as you might want to stay away, when you see the progress every day and you go from like 10%, 23%, 25%, you're like, you see the progress every day. So you know that you're actually, moving forward on your journey as well.
Nice. And so there was a lot of stuff there. Was it simple? Was it easy to follow? Was it confusing? Like how would you say you kind of digested the training program as it was kind of like rolled out?
I just broke it down. So like the first little module, and then just worked through that, and then extracted the material, put it into like my Notion database, and then like actually went to learn it, and then went to the
Hmm.
next one. Because like if you try to do like 10 hours of like course material, any course, you're gonna go through it and you just bang. Because the brain, you only have like 90 minutes where you're like switched on, then you're gonna take a quick
Yeah.
reset. Take a step away, go outside, then come back again for another session. So just like 1 to 2 hour blocks, and then take a second away and then come back.
Great. And what would be your general feedback on the community, the group coaching calls, the communication between myself,
Mm.
cadence of communication, how long? Like, what would be your general feedback after being in the training program for about 8 months?
I'd say in terms of like response time, Connor's quick. Like quick to the point where like you have a question, like all dependent around your time zone as well.
Yeah.
Usually, like if I text you in the morning, by the evening, I've got a response, and I've got the response that I was looking for, the clarity that I was wanting. So like the response time is there. The group coaching calls, like you said, you jump on, and there's only sometimes 10 guys and less. And even you'd think 280, you'd think so many are on there. But I think they've all got the same mentality. There's going to be 30, 40 guys on here. So they're all not going. And then there's only
Mm,
10 guys. So when you're starting out, I'd be jumping on as many coaching calls as possible.
mm,
Like we said, different when you land on an offer, because if there's like training inside of that, sometimes you don't
yeah.
really need the extra coaching because like there might be a
Hmm.
different method and different level of sales. But when you're
Yeah.
starting out, pick as many as you can.
Yeah. How important would you say the cadence and communication and then having that one-on-one communication has been?
Yeah, well, bro, anytime you want some clarity, because the what we do is like exactly the prospects. The prospects are coming to us for clarity. They don't know how to start a business. So, if you don't have clarity in yourself, it makes it really hard to help them. So like when we're looking for clarity, we're going up. So we're going up to you, a guy that's already done the thing in the space, already built like the info product as well, and is helping other guys in the space of sales. So if you need a question, just go straight to Connor. He's going to give you that clarity.
Mm. I think what separates us from my perspective is because the training program is not designed to scale to 1 million a month. We don't need that for the goals that I have personally for myself. So what separates us is having that one-on-one communication with a guy who's actually done it. What most guys are going to find when you look at other different training programs, get started in high ticket sales, which is fine, but these people are looking to scale and they're looking to have hundreds and thousands and thousands and thousands of clients. What typically happens is you get thrown in the deep end to a group coaching program. You don't communicate with a guy that you've been watching on YouTube for many, many months.
Mm.
And you just end up talking to maybe just past clients and that are now coaches in inside the training program. You don't really get the support that you need. And you don't really get that one-on-one touch that I think is really important from the guy who's actually done the thing that you're trying to do. I think that's
Yeah.
so, so, so important.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
If we were to kind of tie things off with two questions, in case it isn't obvious already, I would like to ask you anyway. How likely would you be to recommend the training program to a beginner? And like, what would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence right now?
Look, at the end of the day, to answer the sitting on the fence question, is the only person that misses out is you. So if you take anything away from, the call today with Connor and myself, is like by all means, like you can start and you can change your whole future and the trajectory of your family. But that's the biggest thing is you'll change your whole trajectory. Like in 8 months, so much has changed. If you asked me, at the start of last year, are you going to be moving to Bali next year? I would have said, I'm not sure. No. But considering, the steps that I've taken, there's so much change. Like even like looking with the boys and scaling the income to the point where, I'll come over to Dubai, move over to Dubai, move over to Miami and go and meet the bigger fish there. Because once you complete Southeast Asia, you're like, okay, I want to move to that next stage. And that's all been done from investing in myself. And yeah, it was scary, but what's scarier? Looking down the track 5 years, 10 years down the track, and like I could have done something. No, now I'm with a partner that's that says she's like a six. You're not really happy. You've got kids. You're forever just slogging back and forth to work. You now got a mortgage, and you're like, what if I had taken that risk? So
Mm,
just take that risk because like what happened? What's the worst that happens? Like you've seen there's 38 different studies. Like I'm not sure where the fear does come from. It's a limiting belief
mm,
in itself.
yeah. Limiting belief within self that they can't do the things that they think that are required to be successful. And if you can assure yourself that you're actually going to drive the vehicle, I can give you the GPS, I can give you the vehicle, but if you're not going to put your foot on the gas and actually drive the accelerator and actually steer, not much we can really do for you anyway. No one can do anything for you at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
on top of that, how likely would you be to recommend the RSA to anyone that's new?
Well, anytime someone says, "Hey, how do I get into sales?" Because I'm not selling my own sales offering. That's not really on my plans. Anytime someone
Mm,
asks, I just say, "Do you have?" It was
yeah.
say, "Do you have dough?" I'm like, "You need over." And they're like, well, I'm like, do you want to make money? They're like, yeah. And I said, if you have over, I'll be able to connect you to my guy Connor. And that the first person I send, I say,
Yeah.
your network, like you'll get the investment back through the network. And I
Yeah.
think I've sent a few guys. I don't think any have converted the few guys that I've sent through. I think they've got a bit scared, a bit of fear. But yeah,
Yeah.
anytime that someone says, "Hey, I want to start," I'm just like, "Connor, got someone." Bang, send the account. Send them a message, say you know me.
I love that. No, that's awesome. Um, cool. And if you're willing to put friends through the training program, I think that tells a lot. Because I know to get a referral from me to someone in my network, it takes a lot for me to do that when my reputation's on the line. So I appreciate that.
Mm.
Um, is there any final notes you wanted to finish on? Is there any final comments?
No, no, bro, we pretty much covered it. Yeah, big thing around like just end of the day, just take that leap. Like
Love
it's not
that.
that scary.
Yeah. Talking about taking a leap, if you guys are interested in becoming like Zen and all the other case studies on the channel, there will be a link down in the description to find a time, fill in an application form to speak to me and my team about doing something similar to the transformation that Zen's gone through and all the other case studies in the channel. So if you're curious and you want to learn more and find out more about how we can do the same for you, there's a link down below in the description. But dude, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, bro. It's been a long time coming. I look forward to doing our next one in person.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you got a lot of value. I know I did. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate your time.